welcome to footballgameplan.com, where football makes sense. I'm Memory Hunt, the czar of the playbook. Bring you our FBS Wraparound. We're going to go across the country to take a look at some of the big games this week in college football. But first, let's start off in Tuscaloosa as Colorado State takes on Alabama.
First up, we have the Colorado State Rams traveling to Tuscaloosa to take on the Crimson Tide. And I love what I saw last week from Bama's offensive line and A.J. McCarron. And the Rams have a talented front seven led by their linebacker Shaquille Barrett, who will need an excellent game this week versus that Bama rushing attack. But I like Alabama in this matchup. Colorado State just doesn't have the receiving threats outside of the tight end position to expand Bama's defense, so I think the Tide win this one at home. Next, we have a Tiger fight taking place in the Bayou between Auburn and LSU, and it's a big test for Gus Malzahn and the 3-0 Auburn Tigers, who are playing solid on defense. And for LSU, what a difference a year makes with Cam Cameron calling the shots offensively. Zach Mettenberger looks like a totally different player, and I think that's the reason why they win this ballgame versus Auburn. I like LSU in this matchup. Big game in the Mountain West Conference between Wyoming and Air Force. And for the Cowboys, Brett Smith, the quarterback, has been playing some great football so far this season. And for the Falcons, the run defense is the Achilles heel, but that option attack always gives you a chance to win, and it's still one of the best in the country. But I like Wyoming to win this ball game. Look for Wyoming's running back, Sean Wick, to have a huge day rushing against the Falcons defense. Big rivalry game between Utah and BYU. This is a classic matchup, and the Utes should be 3-0. Their offense is playing lights out. Defensively, they're going to have to make Taysom Hill beat them passing. For BYU, they can't lose contain versus quarterback Travis Wilson, who's playing some good football right now. And they have to slow the pace of the game down. Utah wants to play up tempo. I think BYU's defense will do that. It's very good, led by linebacker Kyle Van Noy, and they'll ride that plus the legs of Jamal Williams to victory. Tulane travels to upstate New York to take on the Syracuse Orange, and for Tulane, the Nick Montana to Ryan Grant combination is one of the best in the country, but they have to find a consistent running game in order to be effective. For Syracuse, the Orange passing game needs to come alive. Now, last week, Terrell Hunt played an excellent game versus Wagner, 15 out of 18, 265 yards, 3 touchdowns, no picks. Now, was that the anomaly, or was that a sign of things to come? I think it was a sign of things to come. I like Syracuse in this game to win a very close one versus the Green Wave. Quietly, this may be one of the better games of the week between Arkansas and Rutgers, and for the Razorbacks, the secondary will be tested this week, but I like freshman running back Alex Collins. He is looking really good so far this season. For the Scarlet Knights, can the offense consistently move the ball versus that very tough and stingy Razorback defense? And I love the talent that they have defensively, and I think their defense will show up versus Arkansas, slow the running game down and put them in passing situations. I like Rutgers to win this one at home. That Fresno State game was an anomaly. This is a very good football team. Two crosstown rivals kick off this weekend as Houston takes on Rice, and for the Cougars, I'm very impressed with their defense, and they have a well-balanced offensive attack. And keep an eye on wide receiver Deontay Greenberry, a 5-star recruit. This is the guy that's a superstar for the Cougars in his sophomore season. For Rice, quarterback Taylor McHargue must avoid the big mistake, and this is still a very solid football team that can run the ball and play solid defense, but I like Houston in this ball game. They'll win this year's edition of the Bayou Bucket. And finally, staying in the state of Texas, we have the UTSA Roadrunners taking on the UTEP Miners. And for the Roadrunners, they can't afford the turnovers and the penalties, and that red zone defense definitely has to improve. But I like the progress of quarterback Eric Souza. Here's a guy that's a very solid player, has been throughout the course of his Roadrunners career. And for UTEP, they're balanced on offense, and I really like running back Aaron Jones, one of the best ones in the country. And this is a defense that's way too giving on the ground, so that could be a problem this week versus a running game of the Roadrunners. But I like UTEP in this game. Like I said before, while giving on the ground, they do know how to get off the field on third down, and that right there is the most important thing.